live on Zoom.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We have a few technical difficulties here. Appreciate your patience. We'll call the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee meeting to order for Monday, August 22nd. Thank the committee members for being here or virtually. Very grateful for all of you. The first order of business for today is the emergency services agenda. Anne Marie. We have a few items. The first one is a request to amend the 2022 budget to accommodate the fiscal year 21 state Homeland Security Program grant in the amount of $19,000.
Okay, so we're requesting to increase both sides of the budget for that with request to purchase items that would be aiding soft targets. What soft targets are considered are mass gatherings, concerts, balloon festival, things of that nature. So by creating that $19,000, we're going to be looking to purchase items like trauma kits, tourniquets, anything that would aid in helping that area out.
Okay, motion to move.
So
Supervisor Dickinson, second by Supervisor Driscoll. Any questions, discussion on this? Supervisor McGowan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did you say this was a matching grant or?
I did not.
I'm hard of hearing, so
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I heard something.
Right. No, I did not indicate whether it's matching.
Oh, well, that's good news. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. We have a second. No further question, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. The second item is a resolution, the request to amend the contract with Ray Supply to increase the authorized amount from $1,000 to $1,500. Emery?
Okay, so this is actually just to contract for $1,500 because we did not need the resolution to create one for 1,000. So what this actually is it's a contract with Ray Supply. They handle our feed that comes into our office for the cameras. And during the storm, I guess it was maybe about a month ago or so, that knocked out our fire alarm system for a little while. Also knocked out the feed that goes to our office for the cameras. So the repairs, we had them come in, give us a quote, see what was wrong with it. And the repairs will be over the $1,000 threshold, but under 1,500. So that's why we need that.
Okay, thank you. Motion to move this forward.
I'll move it.
Second.
Seaver, Supervisor Dickinson. Any question, discussion on this?
The only request I have is that the contract term be commencing August 5th of 2022.
Okay.
If that's acceptable.
Anne Marie?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Aye.
Item 3 and 4, I think we can combine those resolutions. The first is a request to apply for a domestic terrorism prevention grant in the amount of $172,413. And the fourth request is to amend the 2022 budget to accommodate that grant in the same amount. Emery?
Yes. So putting those together is a good idea. And what this is it's in response to the shooting that occurred in the Tops Market out in Buffalo. Governor Hochul created an executive order 18 to combat domestic terrorism. And what she was looking to do is there's $10 million that's been provided and it's divided up equally over 62 counties. So everyone is getting the same share. And what that funding is used to do is to create a threat assessment management team to help us with protocols and policies and prevention for domestic terrorism and any type of threat that would come based on that.
Motion?
I'll move that, Chairman.
I'll second.
Second. Supervisor Seaver. Any discussion or questions? Supervisor Driscoll, question?
Thank you, Anne Marie. When you said equal share or fair share, is that according to percentages or?
Every county is getting the same exact amount of funding. Take the 10 million and divide it by 62. So every county is getting the same.
People up in Hamilton County are very happy about that. Thanks.
Supervisor McGowan.
Thank you, again, Mr. Chairman. Is there any share of that to our sheriff's department there?
We will be working with the sheriff's department, creating this plan. There's a whole team that would be involved with working on this together. So yes,
All
definitely,
right, thank you. I
absolutely.
just,
Mhm.
I mean, otherwise I was gonna ask our sheriffs to apply for that grant. too.
Yeah, no, actually, we're going to be working on it together. So
Oh, that's great to hear. Thank you.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you very much. Emery, two discussion items. First is the New York State Threat Assessment and Management Team Summit that was held August 9th, 10th.
Yep, so the state actually kind of led off with a summit behind this $10 million effort that's put out there. At the summit, there was 35 counties represented, and they also included a panel of members from Buffalo PD and Monroe County Sheriffs that were able to answer some of our questions about what were some of the benefits of creating a threat assessment management team and working on the domestic terrorism plans and policies. And they have also offered their assistance to any counties that would need them in the future as we go forward with this.
Any questions on that for Emery? Thank you. Second item is the Warren County Emergency Services mobile app status.
Yes, so with that, we are still looking at doing a 3-year contract. And based on timing, we had put in an application for ARPA funds for the first year. The subsequent 2 years, we're still planning on using grant funding for that. And just to kind of give you an idea, I mean, this type of an app will aid our entire community and our tourist population as well. It'll give timely notifications, instructions relating to weather events, road closures, public health advisories, any notifications from the sheriff's department that they'd like us to get out. We can share this app among the whole county, trying to get information out to our residents and to our tourists that come through here.
Glad to hear that's moving along. Any questions on that issue? Super
Yes,
Dickinson, yes.
yes. And Marie. ARPA money, you're talking about ARPA money from the county?
Yes.
Do you have an application in, or have you already gotten the money?
Nope, I have the application in.
So you're one of 84 applications?
Yes, I am.
How much are you asking for, Emery?
6,300.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else for Emery?
I do have a question about that, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Supervisor Seaver.
Is there a way that we can fund that directly through criminal justice? I mean, we know we have 84 applications, very limited funding with ARPA. Is there a way to help her find that money throughout her budget or through the general fund, or somehow it's $6,000?
I don't know the answer to that, but we can certainly look into it.
Yep, we will definitely look into that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. At the appropriate time, I do have a privilege of the floor question.
Go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I just, as a point of interest, Supervisor McGowan has asked 2 questions now. He's not a member of the committee. I think fair should be fair. I also think that we should have a privilege of the floor before our meeting gets started. So supervisors, such as Supervisor McGowan, could ask those questions ahead of time and not during the debate. We've heard from our clerk that we're on a very fine line as it relates to open meeting laws. And I was wondering if this committee would just make a simple referral over to legislative to have that looked at, so we could look at having our agendas mirror our county board agendas, where we have a privilege at the beginning and a privilege at the end. That would take care of any of these issues that we're hearing from people who are not on the committee throughout the meeting. It seems to be selective, and that's not a negative or a positive to you, Mr. Chairman. It just seems like the rules aren't consistent. And it would just be nice for legislative to take a look at that and see if there's a way to make an agenda be mirroring our county board agenda, which of course our entire board supported when we made those changes.
Okay, I'm going to allow Supervisor McGowan to just respond quickly.
Thank you. I kind of disagree with that. Sometimes my questions come up as quickly as possible, and I am not the best at taking down notes and asking questions 15 or 20 minutes later, even 5 minutes later. I like to ask questions. So I kind of disagree with that I like the process we've had in the past of being able to speak up, even though I'm not on the committee. Maybe I should say I am not on the committee, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for letting me speak. But I mean, it was my understanding that if you're going to say anything on the board meetings, you speak up at the committee meetings. And that's why I take the time to come and show my face up here and sit through all the committee meetings. All right, so I can ask my questions, and if I'm not happy with the answer, then when at the board time, I can bring up the things. But I'm trying to be respectful, folks. I just wanted to state that. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
May I just respond quickly, Mr. Chairman? Just to
Supervisor
ask,
Seaver, last word on this. Go ahead.
thank you. I would just ask our clerk to please weigh in. This isn't about talking after the fact. This is talking before the fact. In privilege of the floor, she has sent an email to all of us multiple times. Our county attorney has brought it to our attention. I just think a referral to legislative is appropriate, and I wondered if our clerk would please weigh in on what the rules are, or our attorney.
Supervisor Dickinson, I saw your hand up, so go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I agree with Brad. I mean, that's the whole purpose of having these meetings, is have people put their input. And the time, I mean, they bring something up that hits a nerve with Brad, and he has a question, he should be able to ask it. That's what the whole process is about. I don't understand why we're not letting everybody speak.
Now, let me ask our clerk to respond if we have a ruling or a practice that we've agreed to.
So it's not this board's rule, it's the open meetings law, which is set by the state. You can't really, I don't believe you can override that. And that says that if you're not on a committee, you're to be treated, even if you're a supervisor, as a member of the public. So both members of the public and non-committee members, everyone speaks during privilege of the floor. You're not supposed to be speaking during the deliberation, because if you have a quorum of the board here deliberating on a matter, you're holding a board meeting on an item instead of a committee meeting.
Okay.
That's the issue.
All right. That's a practice and a regulation that we'll have to follow. Now, I believe Supervisor Seaver mentioned something about privilege of the floor before we discuss the resolutions. Is that?
So I think that's something that if this board is in favor, we can do that administratively. I'm not sure it needs legislative action because we set the agendas for committees. Only the board agenda is set in the rules of the board. Committees are pretty much free flowing. So I think administratively, if everyone's in favor, which it sounds like that, we could just add another item up here before, we could do it right after approving the minutes, and then we could do it for the floor at the beginning at the end. It does, it would mean that you'd have to ask your questions if you're a non-committee meeting member, either before or after, if that's the way we're gonna do things. But if you want to comply with open meetings law, that's the issue.
Okay. All right. For the balance of today's meeting, we'll allow guests or any other supervisors, not members of the committee, to speak during privilege of the floor. All right. Amory, one question I've got for you. Without objection of our acting administrator or our Chairman Garrity, since so many of our communities have now adopted ambulance districts, on behalf of this committee, I'd like to get a better handle on that, what the status of that looks like countywide. So could you have your EMS coordinator prepare a chart for us? And I'll send you an email with the specifics. But clearly, where are ambulance districts now? How many staff members do they have? What's the budget in each one of those? What does this start to look like countywide? I think that would be very informative for us. So let me just ask, acting administrator, do you have any issues with that if we ask?
Not at all. It's appropriate at this time.
Okay, thank you. Chairman Garrity, you're here. Do you have any? Okay, thank you. Emery, I'll send you an email later today with that request.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
If I may add, if there's nobody else here while Anne Marie is still up, did get to mention this at the board meeting the other day, but on resolution 391 from criminal justice about adopting a community emergency response team, a CERT procedure for the Warren County Office of Emergency Services. I sit on the NACO Resiliency County Board, and we've had a lot of presentations by FEMA. And with that, FEMA has put in a lot of great processes on responding to emergencies. The weak point is being to go lateral throughout a county And this program that the OES is pulling together here is very progressive and proactive on being able to create teams that be able to respond when emergencies hit. So thank you for pulling that together.
Thank you.
Anything else for Anne Marie? Thank you for being with us this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, the only other agenda items we have today is from the sheriff. Sheriff's here. And I neglected when we started to approve the minutes of the prior committee meeting. I apologize. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes? Supervisor McDevitt, second. Supervisor Driscoll. Any discussion or question on the previous minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, Sheriff, it looks like the first 6 request items all have to do with entering an agreements with school districts for school resource officer services. And without objection, I like to move all 6 of those. The first one is enter agreement with Bolton Central School District. The second is with Hadley Luzerne. The third is with the Johnsburg Central School District. The fourth is with Lake George School District. The fifth is with North Warren Central School District. And the 7th is with the Queensberry Union Free School District. So with I'm sorry, the 6th one with Queensberry. Without objection, I'd like to move all 6 of those. You want to comment on that?
Of course, these are our annual agreements with our schools. This is for 2022, 2023. They are budget neutral for us. We get reimbursed exactly what we spend for salaries, fringe, and benefits.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion to move these 6 items forward. Supervisor McDevitt. Second. Supervisor Driscoll. Any questions, discussion for the sheriff on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. The 7th item is ratifying our actions in regard to submission of the application of a New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee grant and approval to accept the grant funding and amend the county budget accordingly. Sheriff, anything added?
Yes, this is our police traffic services grant. This helps us to reduce dangerous driving, and I'm confident that it's through the good work of our sheriff's office and the supervisor in charge of this grant that it's increased by $10,000. We're getting $31,000 this year, where we received $21,000 last.
Thank you for applying for that. Motion to move this forward.
I'll move it.
Supervisor Dickinson, second. Supervisor McDevitt. Any questions or discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. The
Aye.
8th item is enter in agreement with Niebuhr Ford for dealer-specific service, maintenance, and repairs. Sheriff?
Yes, this is an annual agreement for the repairs of our Ford vehicles in our fleet. And if I may, there was an error with the resolution request. I had indicated that it was good for 2 one-year renewals, and it's only actually permitted for 1 agreeable upon by both parties.
Motion move forward. Supervisor McDevitt. Second.
I'll second.
Supervisor Seaver, any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next item is to ratify our actions in regard to the submission of the application of a New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services 2021 statewide interoperable communications program grant. Sheriff?
This is our annual grant from Homeland Security. It allows us to improve our interoperability with other agencies statewide, as well as improve and update some of our hardware and software in our communications center. And I would be remiss if I didn't state that starting back in 2017, our grant decreased annually. And I know in speaking with the grant administrators with the state that one of the key components they look at is how we report, how we're spending our money, the budgets that we prepare. And in years past, we were not doing a good job with that. So it gradually decreased. Our communications supervisor, Derek Helms, our systems maintenance coordinator, Mark Neal, have done a tremendous job in renewing the way we work our grants. And our grant award this year has more than doubled. So last year it was $474,000. This year it's $985,547,000. And it's really in great part to those 2 men.
Thank you, Sheriff. Motion to move this forward. Supervisor Driscoll, second by Supervisor Dickinson. Questions? Supervisor Dickinson?
Yes, I do. Is there any matching funds to this, Jim?
No, sir. This-
Great.
This is just money that we are reimbursed as we spend, again, so long as we report appropriately and spend within the approved budget.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the sheriff on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Final item is to enter into an agreement with Capital Digitronics for preventative maintenance and service of the Sheriff's Office of Emergency Communications Center equipment. Sheriff?
Capital Digitronics is our service provider for our Emergency Communications Center. They've done excellent work for us years past, and we look forward to having a good, healthy relationship with them in the future. This did come through the bid process, and we're happy to have them back. We're pleased they did.
Thank you. Motion to move this item forward. Supervisor McDevitt, second. Supervisor Dickinson. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Carried. There's no discussion items listed. Do you have anything you wanted to add, Sheriff?
I do not, but I'm available if there's anything for me.
Okay, question from Supervisor McDevitt.
Yeah, just in general terms, Sheriff, the school resource officers, just how's that program working? Is it positive? Seem to be helpful?
Extremely positive. There's only one school district in our county that does not have a school resource officer. That's in Warrensburg. That's their choice. We don't push for that. But we really closely monitor how our officers are connecting with the students in the schools. And we want to make sure that they understand their roles. They go in and we want them to break down the barrier between uniformed police officer and children, so to build a comfort level, let them know that they're approachable. And we hear nothing but positive. And again, we keep an eye on it. If we had a school district that was not pleased with the officer that was assigned, we would very quickly reassign, figure something else out. But year after year, the majority of the schools are retirees. And we are so hopeful that, come September, they're all agreeable to come back. And this year, we're pleased to announce that they are. And it goes really very well.
Well, that's good to hear, Sheriff.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussions for the sheriff from committee members? Seeing none, we'll move to privilege of the floor. Any questions or discussion from supervisors that are present? Anybody else that's here? Anybody online?
Supervisor Gerasi, can you
Yes?
hear me? Hi, it's Andrea. Can you hear me?
Oh, Supervisor Hogan, yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I was just curious, this is a question for the sheriff. How much is budgeted for the work that's being reimbursed by Homeland Security?
We are in the process of building that budget now. It's a lot of money. So we're trying to figure out what the best use of those resources will be. And it's likely going to be significant hardware upgrades. And it's really complicated with how we spend the money. It has to be approved. It's a very detailed process. We likely will not have our budget for that grant. Maybe not even by the end of this year, but the grant stays open for close to 3 years. So we're not in any rush. We want to make sure that we're spending that money wisely.
So to be clear, that 970 some odd thousand would be spent over 3 years, or would you be eligible to reapply year after year?
That is just specific. It comes out and it's labeled for a specific term or period. This is the 2022 grant, I believe. And the money, we get that pot of money specifically. And it has to go to make improvements for interoperability, other emergency communication centers and other government municipalities throughout the state and our country. So if somebody's passing through Warren County, what are we doing to ensure that as they pass through, if there's an emergency or event, we can seamlessly communicate with them? And we do a very good job at upgrading our systems to make sure that those things happen. We're at a point now where if something, a major catastrophe occurred in Warren County and our emergency communication center was completely shut down, we could send our staff to Washington County, sit down at a terminal, sign on, and communicate just like we were sitting in Warren County. It's through these grants that allows us to do this.
Well, okay. I'll be interested to see what you're gonna do with it, because as you know, in a lot of our communities, particularly with high number of second homeowners, this type of communication is something we pay a lot of attention to.
Absolutely. Do you have a suggestion? It seems as though you have a thought in mind.
Oh, no. Nope. I'm just curious. I mean, it is a big jump in money, and it's exciting if you can get it, but I mean, it would be great to know what you're going to spend it on.
I will be more than happy to keep the board up to speed as we make our budget, prepare, and, you know, even offer or request some feedback and suggestions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other non-committee members? Comments, questions for the sheriff? Don, is there anybody online?
Hi, Chairman Grass. You know, there's nothing on line right now.
All right, thank you. Seeing, oh, Dennis, I'm sorry. Supervisor,
I
Dick, motion to adjourn.
move to adjourn.
Okay, second by
Yes.
Supervisor Driscoll. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Good job.